Hello everyone, I am Crawlers and today I would like to make a video commentary, I suppose, about nerfing weapons, specifically in Battlefield 4, because, my channel is so heavily based on it. And what I think, uh, no, how I disagree with what DICE is doing to the weapons. Now, the way that this happens usually is DICE releases some weapon in a DLC or otherwise, and the tryhard noobs are, starting to scream it's OP and must be nerfed, and DICE usually caves and nerfs it all to shit. Now, ordinarily, I wouldn't have a problem with, rebalancing some weapons and tweaking them and their stats, but when DICE starts nerfing them all into oblivion, it's really starting to get on my nerves. I mean, yes, weapons should be rebalanced and maybe nerfed a bit to make them not an end-all god gun, but honestly, after the last CTE patch, I see that instead of going at it with a scalpel, DICE is going at it with a sledgehammer, full force. They are basically cutting into the weapon's tactical advantage, tearing out its heart, showing it to the weapon, and then stomping on it several times. Now, this happened before and will undoubtedly happen again, and from what CTE patch notes say, DICE is going to nerf most weapons now again because they are, quote, more deadly with the netcode improvements and the visual recoil updates, as they are easier to use now. So what really pissed me off is that the last patch basically took out the grenade resupplies and some explosives resupplies altogether, but before I go into that, I just want to say that the new weapons are always coming under fire, so to speak, from the tryhard noobs about them being OP. Precisely because they are new and everyone starts using them exclusively because they are this new hot unlock item, and it's no wonder then that everyone starts screaming OP because it will seem like you're being killed exclusively by the new weapon, in the game. Like, for example, the Bulldog. It happened with the Bulldog. Everyone unlocked the Bulldog in Battlefield 4 and ran it like, 90% of the players probably ran Bulldogs as soon as they unlocked them. I mean, it was a sea of Bulldogs out there, and not surprisingly, everyone was starting to get killed by the Bulldog wielding player, and so naturally everyone started screaming that the Bulldog is OP. But it's really not. I mean, granted, it's got the Scar H damage model, and it is a hard-hitting assault rifle, but it also has downsides, the Bulldog, has the worst upwards per shot recoil of 0.55, I believe, which is even slightly worse than that of the Scar H, and coupled with the first shot multiplier and, a small magazine, it's just really not a god gun. But you see, when you're talking about nerfing one weapon in an FPS style game, and especially nerfing or rebalancing several weapons like DICE wants to do now, you're basically opening up a can of worms. You see, it will lead to more and more imbalance because a lot of things depend on that weapon stats, and it will have to be rebalanced themselves. So, it's an exponential thing. You rebalance 5 weapons today, tomorrow you have to rebalance them all. And that includes not only weapons, by the way. That includes medics, squad perks, like the defensive perk, shields, all sorts of things that come dependent on it, like countermeasures, reload times, splash damage, and so on and so forth. Now, let's take the Deagle, for example. There's a lot of talk about nerfing the Deagle in the community, right? Although most people seem to love it anyway just because it looks so badass and its reload animation is so incredible. In fact, it's probably the only weapon in Battlefield you actually want to reload from, completely empty, no matter how much time it takes, because it looks so awesome. But yes, it's also quite powerful as far as hand cannons go. It puts down 44 style damage in a no trigger delay package, or very little trigger delay package, and does it from a bigger clip and with a shit ton more style. More style even than the Unicorn revolver, although admittedly that's got plenty of style. Now, another argument right now some people have is that against the Deagle is that the Deagle is a DLC gun and therefore isn't accessible to, so-called lowly non-premium peasants. So, in effect, it could be considered a pay-to-win weapon in Battlefield 4. Now, I never actually saw it that way, but maybe that's just because I am premium all the way. But I suppose some people could, if they are going to be killed by the Deagle non-stop in pistol-only servers, and they are not premium themselves. Frankly, you see, I'm afraid a little bit that DICE is going to be, it's going to go in and severely nerf the Deagle, making it worthless. Because DICE, it seems, when they nerf something, they go at it like a bull in a china shop. They don't know the meaning of the word subtle. So, they go in and take out your knees. And recently I posted a video on one of the latest CTE patch changes in Battlefield 4, and as I said, which had to do with severe nerfs to all grenades and explosive pickup times across the board. And so this is actually a good example of how DICE has approached a nerfing process of weapons in the past. Now, thankfully these changes haven't made it to the vanilla game yet, and I don't believe so. But I have to say, I hope DICE comes to their senses and, takes a step back from these severe nerfs, because it just seems like overkill, You see, basically what they did was, in order to prevent some grenade spam on maps like Operation Clusterfuck and others, they extended the resupply times of nearly all grenades and explosives in Battlefield 4, some to a mind-boggling 25 seconds. Now, I have several problems with this right off the bat. First of all, 25 seconds resupply time is downright ridiculous in a fast-paced FPS game like Battlefield. Ain't no one gonna stand over an ammo box in one spot for 25 seconds waiting for a grenade. Which brings me to number 2. While this is going to severely impact an individual's grenade resupply time, it isn't gonna do much team-wise for, grenade spam. And this is precisely the problem we have in Operation Clusterfuck tunnels. You got 10 to 15 guys sitting on an ammo box, or even several ammo boxes at once, and resupplying non-stop pretty much. And C, I think the map design of Operation Metro and Clusterfuck are precisely geared towards this kind of playstyle. And DICE, who by the way designed these maps, to come in and say that the grenade spam is a bit too much, it's hilarious. They designed the map to be that way, to be close quarters, to have tunnels, like that. It's begging for grenade spam. And also my fourth reason, and I think this is probably the most interesting one, has to do with DICE not actually nerfing the grenades for the grenade spam's sake. You see, but actually they are getting us to use the most underused grenade, the M67, instead. Because listen to this, the resupply time for the grenade is nerfed to only 5 seconds instead of the RGO's 25 seconds, and also consider that it is more deadly and can kill in one hit, unlike the RGO. So, they also nerfed the impact grenade's blast radius pretty nicely, so it is very clear that DICE has a hard-on for the RGO, and it doesn't actually take a genius to figure out why. It's because the impact grenades are the most used grenades in Battlefield 4 by far. So it's very clear then that, again, as in previous balances, and I use the term loosely, DICE is trying to pigeonhole us into using the M67 a lot more. Unsurprisingly, it is right now the least used lethal grenade in Battlefield 4. So you see what I'm saying here. I don't actually think this is going to be much of a solution against grenade spam on tighter maps. As with previous nerfs, I think DICE is doing what DICE is doing is pressuring us to use certain weapons a lot more by making the other ones, the alternatives, effectively useless. So, and it's happened before. When they nerfed the frag rounds of the USAS-12, they became effectively a why bother equipping type of weapon. They nerfed the already not stellar stats characteristics of the MP7 and the MTAR. They made the ballistic shield, which was never a great defensive weapon, much more or less useless by taking down its bash radius to basically nothing. And I mean, it already protects you very little. In fact, you can take out the glass with one magnum shot, and from then it's just a straight shot to the player's face. And let's not forget the infamous AS-Val nerf that severely crippled its use. I mean, that thing had an unbelievable first shot multiplier, by far a record in Battlefield 4 when it came out, and the only thing it had going for it was its damage model. And DICE went and hacked into it like me into a bottle of vodka. So, that's just not good balancing, I think, not good balancing ideas. They also nerfed the explosive timer on the LVG a while back, if you remember that, which led to the LVG being seen a lot less these days, because it used to bounce all around the Operation Metro tunnels. But I think there's several other more subtle ways that DICE could have approached this grenade spam situation. But instead they went in for the most obvious approach, and hacked into the grenade's resupply times. And they didn't do it kindly. They could have, for example, nerfed the resupply time to, let's say, 15 seconds, and let that timer actually run beginning all the way since you resupplied the last grenade, even if you're not standing on an ammo box. So, the timer could count down when you're just running around nowhere near an ammo box. Another more interesting solution, and this obviously isn't my idea, I didn't come up with it, they could have reworked the whole grenade throwing mechanic. Basically, if you click to throw the grenade, it only flies, a little bit from your hand, and if you hold the mouse button before letting go, you effectively charge the throw and the grenade flies further out. And another interesting idea I just came up with as I was saying all this right now, and I'm not sure yet how viable this is. Well, my idea has to do with nerfing the ammo box's grenade resupply time as opposed to the individual's resupply time. So, say for example there's an ammo box on the floor of Operation Clusterfuck, and there's 5 guys around it, all pulling grenades. Well, that ammo box can now only give out grenades every, let's say, 15 seconds. I think this would solve the team-based grenade spam problem as opposed to hurting the individual player's grenade pickup times. Also, I think that if the ammo box counts 15 seconds between grenade resupplies, it would also be better because an individual player's stumbling upon an ammo box in the middle of the field won't have to wait for a ghastly 25 seconds to get a new grenade. If, let's say, the box gave out the grenade 12 seconds ago, then all he has to do is wait 3 seconds, and that's it. And to get around the trick of throwing a new ammo box in place of the old one to restart the timer all over again, I think a bubble should be created with a 5-meter radius or something like that around the position of the old ammo box where the timer still counts down from the previous grenade resupply. I bet there's, tons of ways that they could have come up with for a better rebalancing and of the grenades. So, please comment below and tell me what you think would be a better way to rebalance grenades in Battlefield 4. So thanks for watching. Please rate and share this video as it helps my channel grow. Check out my other videos at the end of this one. And remember, in Soviet Russia, YouTube subscribes you.